welcome to Sal's Reviews and Recommendations. In this video we'll be talking about the TV show The Blacklist, but specifically its latest season, Season 8. The Blacklist stars James Spader, who many people might know from the 90s type of rom-com type films, but over the years he's become a really interesting actor, kind of like how Matthew McConaughey, like his circle, he went from Dazed and Confused, playing the stoner hippie type, and then True Detective. This is James Spader's True Detective, and boy does he do a great job. We also have the main character, Elizabeth Keen, played by Megan Boone. Megan Boone, for those who, I'm not being rude to her, apart from The Blacklist and My Bloody Valentine 3D, I don't really know much of her acting history, but she's very good in the show. So yeah, there's other great cast members in the show, can't name at this particular time. Now, for those of you who have never seen the show, it is about a criminal named Raymond Remington, one of the most wanted criminals on the FBI database, who willingly turns himself in. In exchange, he will give criminals who the FBI do not know about or are not looking into, as they are unnoticed, but commit huge crimes and get away with it. His one catch is the agent that he informs with is an agent Elizabeth Keen, who at the time he gets arrested is just becoming an official FBI agent. So as an audience viewer, we are left with two questions. Why her, and who is he? Throughout the season there's a relationship between these two, and we find out so much about them and why he chose her, and how, if anything, he's been connected to her life way before they even met. It's very interesting, but the great thing about the show is there's criminals out there and people in both Elizabeth and Remington's life trying to find out who he is, but sadly that's the dangerous mistake of trying to find out who really is Raymond Remington, as Raymond Remington is death, essentially. You try and look into him, you're dead. Let's talk about Season 8. Spoiler alert, by the way. Before we get to that, I'd just like to say, if you are watching The Blacklist or you're interested in The Blacklist, I'd stop watching this and watch the show because it's brilliant, but because I will be saying spoilers, and if you don't want to hear spoilers, I definitely won't recommend this video. But apart from that, if you're okay with hearing spoilers and you just want to hear my review and my opinion on it, that's great. Continue. So, like I'd probably say the last 3 seasons, Elizabeth Keen is asking, who is Raymond Remington really? And she's trying to look into him, finding out certain info. She finds her biological mother and teams up with her to try and find out who Raymond Remington really is. And sadly, Raymond Remington puts an end to her life by killing her. And sadly, Elizabeth Keen witnesses the murder, as well as his on her phone. And it's at this point, this season, became one of the best TV watching experiences of all time. It's because you've set this character loose, Elizabeth Keen, who stuck by rules. There's 1 or 2 episodes where you see this character change, and it's interesting really seeing her dive out of this normity of like following rules and all that. Season 8, the death of her mother is too much, and so she decides to fully go in and find out the truth about Raymond Remington, and maybe even attempt to kill him. It's odd, the first few episodes, like, she's willing to kill or get other people hurt and possibly killed just to find the truth about Raymond Remington. And this is what is great. We see that even though Raymond Remington is supposed to be the antagonist, he's too much of an interesting character to hate. He's never a bad person, he's just a very mysterious character. And so with Season 8, we see Elizabeth Keen turn dark. There's quite a few episodes where we don't see her, but her name's always brought up, and she's doing these type of acts to punish Remington and get criminals, actual criminals that he helped get put away, back onto the street and plot with her to attack Reddington, and it's such a good show because it just also shows what are you willing to do for the truth. That's what I love about the show, especially this season. I won't dive into too many details, but we find out who Raymond Reddington is. It's such a good ending episode, the second to last episode, and then we as an audience are hit with a blow on the last episode. And if it was if that was the show's finale, I would have been shocked, but loved it. Season 8 it's in my top. It's made the Blacklist go into my top 5. That's rare. Let's just put that out there. That's rare. Now, rating it, I'd say it's a 9.2 out of 10. It's such a good show. I definitely recommend it. It's on Now TV. You have it until August 17th, I believe. Go watch that show. It's actually kind of hard to recommend shows like this because it starts off like the typical crime of the week, criminal of the week type show, like CSI, NCIS, to an extent Supernatural when they did it with their monster of the week type episode. But then the show divulges, it still has that element still continues to this day. But yeah, I can definitely compare, if I was to recommend shows similar to it, I'd probably recommend 24. I'd probably recommend Supernatural, just because while it has the same element with the monster of the week like Supernatural did, it started to have huge plots that in the season, and the monster of the weeks were related to that plot. It wasn't just like, there's a werewolf in this episode, there's a vampire in this episode. It was like there was reasons why those characters in there.